popping up. Um, when I was told about looking for missing people in Portland, I was told about a woman named Kelly White. Then when I was told about a situation with CARE where there was an issue, I was told to go to a woman named Kelly White. When I was trying to get autism advocacy and I was calling all these different agencies, they told me to call Kelly White. None of them have her number. None of these places have Kelly White's number. I don't know who the hell she is. So I've looked the name up, right? Like 5, 6 different times. Every time somebody tells me to get a hold of Kelly White, I guess she works primarily with female domestic violence victims. One of the things about autism is that a lot of people are highly antagonistic, and then they don't try to understand that they're being antagonistic. One of the big issues that we have across the nation is that we have either A, untrained professionals. I've seen their training videos. They're supposed to take those the first 2 days of their job. They're not supposed to jump right into the workforce. They're supposed to watch these videos and know what the fuck they're doing. Now, either A, they're not watching those fucking videos, or B, they're protecting their buddies. Small town, they're protecting their buddies. They know what the fuck they're supposed to do. There's a reason that the homeless are being denied these services, and that the mentally ill are being denied these services, or given token services that just eat up their time and resources. What the fuck is wrong with you? Meanwhile, this Kelly White lady is supposed to know a lot about the stuff in the area. She is supposed to know more about the domestic violence in the area than anybody else. Meanwhile, nobody seems to have her fucking phone number. Nobody seems to have a way to get a hold of her. There's like 5 different Kelly Whites in the area that pop up, and they all have different jobs. None of them look the same. I don't know which one to get a hold of. I don't want to go harassing some poor lady who works at a bank, who doesn't have nothing to do with that. At the same time, this woman may be working at a bank to make sure that he's got her bills paid, and then she's spending her spare time trying to help people out. Now, there's this Jenessa Ray funkhouser lady, right? And one of the street people out here, a street person from Portland. He sent me the poster that I used for a screenshot on the front of this. That phone number that's on there. Wait a second, I have it written down somewhere. Is it on Seattle Boat Tours? Yes. All right. Sarah Dion, 909-295-0717. If you are in the Portland area, I guess the last time she was seen was at or around 2 weeks ago, just outside of Burnside, which I haven't looked that up on the map yet. Maybe I should do that before trying to ask for any sort of help. Some of the surrounding areas might be more familiar, but then again, when you're a street person, a lot of times you do have to move frequently, even within a city. It depends on your habits, depends on your gender, depends on your color, depends on the mentality of the people in the region around you. So those are all factors that need to be put in. According to the state of Oregon official numbers, there's between 5,000 and 6,000 homeless people in Portland, and their official numbers are 4,900. The numbers that they put down on their government site are about 1,800 housed and like 1,680 unhoused. I mean, that's not even 4,000 fucking homeless people. That's on their Oregon.gov site. Less than 4,000 homeless people, they claim. Oh, there's more than that. All right, some of the conservative numbers for their government places it between 6 and 7,000. Conservative organizations have numbered it between 8 and 9,000. Now, according to a lot of the people that are on the streets who are coming from Portland, most of the homeless people are not being counted. Most estimates from street people is around 14,000, and I'm not talking all street people. Most of these people don't have the ability to take a look at the surrounding area, the population density, how many people are in each tent, how many tents are in each block. But there are also homeless people that will sit down and do those numbers and work it out. There used to be a guy named Dante Fuentes in Boulder, Colorado, and he was our numbers guy. He was also a fucking abhorrent alcoholic. Could not stay sober for the life of him. But his math was solid. He did not wake up first thing in the morning and get completely blitzed. He couldn't. He had to hold a job to pay for his alcohol. He wasn't getting a government check. He was somewhat disabled, but mostly due to alcoholism and long-term alcoholism. Like the time his skin turned yellow. Like his skin literally turned yellow. I'm not talking about he had some transformation and, we pretend that Asian people are yellow and Native American people are red and people from Europe are white and people from Africa are black. Well, all right, fine. We got a colorful world we live on then. Great. Good news. What's this all got to do with these other people? Well, obviously I talk to people. You can tell I talk to people. A lot of the stuff that I have recorded that's not online, you get to tell who I am as far as my personality goes. A lot of the stuff that is on my YouTube and on my Facebook is me being fucking serious because I have to be. I used to try to educate people with comedy. I'd try to get people to laugh at stuff because it's true. It's the way you say it. The other names that keep popping up, I tried the voice thing, and it keeps sending me to, instead of Kelly, it's sending me to, fuck, I didn't write it down. Talia and Talia. Meanwhile, there's one Talia that I know. It's actually Talie. She's friends with a friend of mine from Colorado. It's a mutual friend. I don't actually know the lady. I just know her on sight. There's also apparently one here in Tillamook. It's definitely not her. But that's not even what I'm looking up. I'm looking up Kelly. But because they have the same last name, I'm thinking maybe they might be related. So, of course, what am I going to do? Run around Tillamook looking like a crazy hobo in a filthy fucking car, looking for all of the Kelly Whites and asking Talia and Talee White if I find them. And meanwhile, if I go looking for these people, that's fucking creepy too, isn't it? I'm a dude. If a woman does it, it's not creepy. But I'm a dude. Yeah. Meanwhile, this is an awful lot of fucking stuff to go through to talk to a domestic violence lady. I mean, she doesn't, from what I've been told, she doesn't just do domestic violence, okay? It's a lot of mitigating factors. Lots of mitigating factors. I use me some big words there. Boy! The thing is, it's aggravating the hell out of me. I mean, when your family member is homeless and you're trying to find them, people in houses are now finally starting to understand. Now their families are out on the streets. These people in houses are finally starting to understand how goddamn difficult it is to get the police to do their goddamn jobs when the person is homeless. Cops didn't want to do their goddamn jobs, and it got Natalie Bollinger's brains blown out. Cops in Chesapeake, Virginia didn't want to do their fucking jobs. Cops in Boulder, Colorado didn't want to do their fucking jobs. Cops in Aurora, Colorado didn't want to do their fucking jobs. Cops in Chapel, Nebraska didn't want to do their fucking jobs. Cops in Longmont, Colorado didn't want to do their fucking jobs. Cops in Broomfield. Adams County at all is full of fucking useless pedophile fucking cops. Meanwhile, I saw Officer Trent Olson yesterday. The guy's a fucking dipshit, but at least he helped that lady out. By helped, I mean he showed up. He was, at least for the most part, professional. He talked to me in a pleasant tone. He spoke to the lady who was having the issues in a pleasant tone. She was not responsive to him. She was responsive to me. She kept looking at me, making sure she kept eye contact with me. When I asked her questions, she was blinking at me. I figured it was a 1 for yes, 2 for no thing. Or 2 for yes, 1 for no thing, maybe. But I wasn't sure. I did ask her for her permission to give the officer her name. She didn't say anything, though. That's the thing that's important. You got to use your words. You have to use your words. Anyway, I didn't get that lady's last name. I did explain to them that she was not violent. She wasn't lashing out irrationally. She wasn't swinging at anybody. She was very docile. He also wanted to know where her dogs were. I don't know. She had dog food, but no dogs when I encountered her. I saw her over by the bushes over here. Got busy talking, and then I noticed that she was face down in the bushes. Just not a cool situation. Anyway, we've all had our issues. We've all had our days. We've all been out in the heat and done something stupid or something that we just didn't think about before we went out. One of the things that I have to worry about is that a lot of my friends and family have told me that, well, it might just be because they didn't want to help me because they weren't real friends or family. They were just faking it, which in many of these cases did turn out to be how it is. They was just faking it. It's difficult when you've got people who say that they care about you to other people and say that they're helping you to other people. So these other people that you're going to for help because your friends and family aren't for shit have the impression that your friends and family tried to help you. Well, how did they try to help you? When your friends and family are trying to help you by telling you to forget about it. Forget about it. You know what? This stuff doesn't just affect just 1 or 2 days. No, this shit affects the rest of your life. So you're starting off at the age of 18 with no family that gives a shit, no money, no ID in the United States of America. That starts you off on a bad fucking note. It fucks with your credit. It fucks with your ability to make money. It fucks with your ability to get a job. And the longer you're without a job, the longer you have to take under-the-table jobs to try to get by, the more you're treated like you're a lazy shit who's trying to cheat the system. Fuck no, you're just trying to eat. You're just trying to fucking eat. You get a 9-to-5 job and you realize that the places where they feed hobos, well, they're done feeding the hobos at 5:30 at the latest. You still have to make it from wherever you're working to wherever the hobo feed is. When somebody hires you, they say, oh, well, you get a paycheck in 2 weeks. Might not be 2 weeks, it might be 3 weeks. You still have to eat during that time. People have this great idea like these like these places that feed homeless people are open 24/7. Like any asshole can walk in off the street and get a meal at any point in time. And we got the bosses that you're working for that aren't going to pay you. They claim that they'll pay you in 2 to 3 weeks. Every day you're hungry. You can't say nothing, though. You have to just keep your mouth about being hungry or thirsty, because you can't say anything. Your boss will say, hey, well, you should have brought something with you. Ain't no way to get something to bring with me. You ain't paid me. I gotta wait 2 to 3 weeks. 2 to 3 weeks of that fucking sucks. Because right before you go to work, and as soon as you get off of work, you're going around to the homeless people that you know that hopefully will help you out and be like, hey man, I just gotta survive till I get my first fucking paycheck. You think next time you go to one of the hobo feeds, maybe you could grab an extra dinner for me, or a fucking roll or something? Most of the time they forget, or they eat it while they're waiting on you to show up. Or somebody else shows up and they give it to that person instead. Or they meet somebody on the way to meet you, and that person is hungry. You know, by this time you've gone 3, 4, 5 days without food. You're lucky you're able to get water. There's drinking fountains, but there's not like free food around Boulder all the damn time. There are places where you can get food on certain days, and there's also people who will bring you food. There are people who bring sack lunches. But if you're at work, you're not getting a sack lunch. If you're at work, you're not able to go to those hobo feeds. If you're at work, you're not getting anything from Sacred Heart. You're not able to actually make it to Sacred Heart so that you can get the breakfast there and get some of the food and commodities that they have there, because you're at work. Then there's, of course, all these places you're expected to call, right? In order to get assistance, you got to call all these government places that you have to call during the day, during normal government business hours. Can't do that while you're at work. Now the talee that it keeps sending me to here, not the same person I know. Now apparently the talee that I know from Colorado, she doesn't live in Colorado anymore, but that is what she does. She does, hold on a second, domestic violence counseling and, not domestic litigation, but it's litigation. It's a legal position that she has. Basically, she's like, you want to settle it out of court. You don't want to have a big fucking mess with a bunch of lawyers, a bunch of money thrown around, a bunch of slander thrown around. You and another person are having a problem. This is a professional way for two people who are having an issue to sit down and fucking hash out the goddamn issue like adults. With Natalie Bollinger and I, both her and I were capable of having adult conversations. Both her and I were capable of dealing with the situation as adults. Her family were absolutely not capable of dealing with anything as adults. They're fucking drug addicts. And child molesters. And more disgusting than that, and I know some of y'all are reeling and rolling your eyes right now because there's nothing worse than a pedophile. No, there absolutely is. You know what's worse than a pedophile? Someone who helps them to fucking get away. Anyway, the Talia that I know, sorry, the talee that I know, her last name isn't White. The Talia that I know, her last name isn't White. There's a Talia White, a Talee White, 5 Kelly Whites. Basically, it's just running around in circles going, what the fuck? There's no easy way to get a hold of these people. Now, one of the young ladies that it keeps popping up with, I'm like, I know who she is. She's not a problem. She's not mean to me. She doesn't create any issues for me. She doesn't come beating on my vehicle like Molly did. She doesn't threaten my life. She doesn't demand any attention of me either. But I'm pretty sure that as young as she is probably not working with domestic violence anything. Now, when you're in a place like this, the internet fucking sucks here. When you look up anything on Oregon.gov, they're going to make it as fucking impossible as goddamn possible. And then, of course, there's voice to text. I am in so much pain right now, I don't even want to deal with it. I don't want to fucking scream at my phone. And that's all I really want to do with my phone right now is fucking yell at it. Jesus goddamn motherfucking Christ, you're so fucking smart of a phone, you can't tell the difference between Kelly and Talee? You can't tell the difference between Kelly and Talia? Meanwhile, I've met a Talia here in Oregon. The Talia that I met is not a person, it's a dog. It's somebody's dog. A dog named Talia. I'm sent to the autism advocacy place here in Tillamook. Like 6 different places have had me call this autism place that's here in Tillamook that doesn't exist. Meanwhile, there's also no listed phone number because the place doesn't exist. The National Autism Society had a branch here in Tillamook, but they just magically disappeared apparently. They don't answer their phones, they don't nothing. They just basically slipped off the edge of the earth and nobody knows nothing about them. Meanwhile, we got corpses popping up all over the fucking place. We got more than one serial killer. And I fucking told you! I told y'all there was a serial killer before the news did. Fucking Christ. Why does it take some hobo retard in Tillamook, Oregon? That's basically how I'm looked at. I'm some homeless retard. Well, you know what? This homeless retard exposed Clearview Behavioral Health over a year before the news did. This retarded hobo didn't just expose Clearview Behavioral Health a year before the news did, but also exposed Waylon Lolatai a year before the news did. I exposed the missing women of Hardin, Montana a year before the news did. 2 years before the news did. And, 3 or 4 years before the United States government admitted it. Yeah, that's a fucking epicenter for missing and murdered indigenous people. I exposed the situation at Lincoln Correction Center before the news did. I exposed Sarah Nelson. Nobody listened. I exposed Michelle Decini. Nobody listened. I even tried exposing Polly Olson, but nobody listened. What all these people have in common? They all went to jail or prison or were closed down for exactly what I told you they were doing. You didn't care that they did it to me. You pretended I made it up. And then when they did it to others, you still pretend like I made it up. Holy shit, Americans. Whew. I'm trying to think of nice things to say. I'm just not coming up with any. Meanwhile, I keep hearing about all these good people, good people. No, all I'm encountering is nice people. Okay? That doesn't mean I don't like these nice people. It means that being a good person might include flipping over some goddamn tables and chasing a motherfucker with a whip. According to the Bible, anyway. Does anybody remember what that man's name was? That obscure feller in the Bible who was flipping over tables, chasing people with a whip? His name was Jesus. Yeah, I know he's got a very small part in that book. A very small part in the story. I mean, his part is so small that he didn't even write his own part. Other people wrote it for him. Pretty significant. Jesus, however, was not a soldier. That's what I liked between him and all of the other quasi-Jesuses before him, is that all the quasi-Jesuses before Jesus were soldiers, warriors, killers. I mean, hell, you go all the way back to David and Goliath, right? Solomon was still king at that time, not David. Let's look at Jacob or Isaac. Same thing, fighters, warriors. What did Jesus do? He taught peace. I got all these Christians want to tell me about the Jesus, but only when it suits them. They'll bounce back and forth between Jesus and the law, depending on which suits them the best at that particular moment. If a Christian broke the law, they'll say, oh, you can't judge me, only God can judge me. But you don't get to use that back. No, they're on the moral high ground if they call the cops on you and lie. That's the problem that I have with neurotypicals in general, Christian or otherwise. They're lazy, and they have a natural disposition to lie. While autistic people are naturally honest, neurotypicals are naturally fucking liars. Now, when it comes to finding this Kelly White lady, I got to run around and talk to a few other people and be like, all right, so you gave me this lady's name. Is there a contact for her? Is there a place where I can contact her? One person told me they were pretty sure that Kelly White worked at the newspaper. No. No, she doesn't. There does appear to be some articles back in like 2018, but nothing recent. And I've been down to the Tillamook Herald. I haven't seen anybody with, well, the picture they show is a curly-haired lady with a big smile. And, yeah, that's not any of the people who work there. As far as going to Oregon, or going to Portland, I'm trying to find people there. That would be a lot easier to do if I was more familiar with the area. It would be easier to do if people who were involved in my situation and knew me were still in Portland. There's a few people in Portland that I do know, but I don't have their numbers. The ones whose numbers that I do have, I will probably get a hold of. One of them, his name is Jaden, and he's actually from here, him and his girlfriend both. He also knows what a jerk I am, what a big mouth I have, and that I don't say nice things. I saw him when he was getting married, right before he got married. So he came back to Tillamook to get married, and then he's headed back to Portland after 15 days of vacation, which is real cool. Getting a 2-week honeymoon and all that. Most people here at the bottom don't get honeymoons like that. You get married and then you might get a day or two off of work, and then you got to go back to work. Ain't no going to Hollywood or going to Hawaii or anything like that. Right now, who wants to go to Hollywood? The body count there is tremendous. Right now, who wants to go to Hawaii? It's on fucking fire. If people are having big ass breathing issues on the big island over Maui being on fire, it's probably not a good idea for you to travel to Hawaii. Don't be a dumbass. Now, we've bounced around on all sorts of subjects, and why have we done that? It's because I am overwhelmed. I'm trying not to be frustrated, and the only thing I'm capable of doing right now is talking. I've got too much anxiety to function to do other things. Many of the other things that people are demanding that I do, I don't have the ability. I can't call this lady if I don't have her phone number. If I have to harass a bunch of people who aren't the right Kelly White, or I have to harass some youngins in a parking lot, or I have to harass somebody who's a bank teller, like that, just obviously I'm not out with the intent of harassing people. These are people that I'm being told to go to, but which one? When you've got 3 different Haley Smiths in your life, and when Natalie died, yeah, I knew 3 different Haley Smiths. I knew one of the Haley Smiths ended up getting 2 people killed. Another one of the Haley Smiths was one of the employees at Starbucks. Now, the Haley Smith that used to work at Starbucks claimed she was going to help me, but she didn't keep her word. And when I posted up a story about Haley Smith, the other one, well, that ended up with no Haley Smiths on my friends list, because, I mean, really, each one of them is thinking I'm blaming them. 2 of them know for a fact they weren't involved in the situation and had nothing to do with Brian Farmer's death. They know that they had nothing to do with Jared Wallace's death because they didn't know Brian Farmer or Jared Wallace. But the third one, she knew exactly who she was. It's just unfortunate that sometimes you end up with people who have the same name or similar names. Well, we got definite creepers on today. What do we do with creepers? This person calls himself Leonard Schoolcraft. What do we do with these ass wipes? Well, we take a screenshot to prove what it is they're typing. And then we hide user on this channel. Blam! That was so easy to do. He wanted to type some jokes. about Lenny from Of Mice and Men, as well as accusing me of killing people. You know, if I wanted these people dead, they would be. That's something about most of you who are able-bodied. You can kill people easier than I can. Yeah. You're more physically capable. Plain and simple. You're more physically capable of running someone down than I am. If I was trying to hurt someone, all they'd have to do is run away. I literally could not catch them. Problem solved, right? So I'd have to use my brain, wouldn't I? Catch them coming around a corner. Something creepy like that, right? Now, when we get this creeper here calling himself Leonard Schoolcraft. Really, dude? Fucking stupid. Now, obviously, smartphones are, well, they're wondrous to behold. That's absolutely true. There is so much stuff that I can look up on my phone. It's wonderful. The voice to text technology is pretty all right some of the time, depending on the phone and depending on where I'm at. When I was in downtown Denver trying to do the voice to text thing, holy shit, no, that wasn't gonna fucking work. When I was explaining to people, they wanted me to call and talk to them, right? Which it really did need to happen, but I was stuck in public. So when I'd explain to them, hey, I'm not capable of typing fast enough to answer your questions adequately enough, you need to call and listen. Oh, well, if you can't call right now, why don't you talk to text? Well, the problem here is that I'm in too loud of an environment. At that point, there was too many people around, too many vehicles that were super fucking loud. No, voice to text is not going to work out any better than calling me at that point. If you let me know that you're going to call me, I can go try to find a place that's kind of quieter and less public. I can at least try. But also the problem is people weren't going to do that either. I ran around and did what my supposed friends wanted me to do. The things they promised they would help me if I did these things. And I explained to them, I've already done all these things before Natalie was killed. I already ran around and talked to lawyers. Instead of telling me, okay, Sean, you need to call a lawyer. I fucking know. I've already done so. I've already been imparted the knowledge and the advice that I am able to glean from such an encounter, from such phone calls. And that information and knowledge I am passing on to you when I pass that knowledge on to you. Important factors like you need a friend or a family member to go in with you. Or a friend or family member to make the call with you. Right away. Not 6 weeks from now, not 6 months from now, not 6 years from now, but right fucking now. If you don't help the victim turn it in right fucking now, the predator gets away. Ted Bollinger gets away. Matty Boa gets away. Jonathan Hickson gets away. Waylon Lolatai gets away. And of course, we got another one of these Ted Burner accounts. What do we do with these guys? You know what we do for these guys. Hide user on this channel. Blam! You see how easy that is to do? You see how easy that is? It's not so easy when you've got Tyler Crabtree coming out from between the hole in the fence there and fucking screaming and shouting and hooting and hollering and showing off his asshole. God damn, we live in a sick world. Anyway, even though I got a lot of these sick, perverted, disgusting fuckers who get a hold of me on my YouTube channel to harass me, get a hold of me in Facebook Messenger to harass me, none of that has stopped me from speaking up in all this time. I've been to both jail and prison for protecting your fucking children's dipshits from actual registered pedophiles. How many people do you know who have been to prison? Not just one prison. I was sent to 2 separate prisons. That's right. And guess what? I wasn't convicted of anything. I was only charged with misdemeanors. Now, if you're confused as to how that could possibly happen, well, you'll have to ask the Nebraska legislature why it is that they chose to allow such a thing. It's all money related, isn't it? Oh, we don't have the money. We don't have the money. We don't have the money. Well, let me tell you something. You lock up 10 homeless people for 1 year, that's $1 million. If you've got 10 police officers, they earn about $100,000 a year. Plus, there's about $100,000 that the government has to pay itself in special taxes for a lot of the crap that these people do. Stuff that you are required by law to have for your employees. It matches what you pay your employees in this case. So, hiring 10 police officers will cost you $2 million a year. $2 million a year. That's a pretty significant quantity of money. But that's nothing compared to the number of homeless people that you got locked up just for being homeless. I get a lot of people who come onto my YouTube channel and harass me here, and I'm used to that. I'm also used to people in real life getting to know me a bit and recognizing my content and character. I'm also used to people looking at YouTube and then being assholes. You know what I should be doing, according to many of you. These are horrible things I'm not willing to do. I might threaten them, though. I've threatened a few of the things that people have threatened at me. A few of them. Because there are certain things I'm just not going to do. Now, when it comes to finding missing people, the cops aren't going to give two shit if it's a homeless person. So if you are the mother of a missing person, or the father of a missing person, or a street person, please understand that the police don't give a shit. Instead of waiting for such a fucked up situation to happen to you that you find that out firsthand, how about you listen to the victims? How about you listen to a lot of these mothers in houses who are still trying to find their kids? Many of them waiting for years and years and years because their child was homeless when he or she disappeared. Now let's dig into Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie. How many bodies were found overall in those excursions? 14 bodies found overall. 12 bodies that we don't have any word on who they are. And then we've got 2 bodies that are identified as Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie. Why haven't we heard anything about those other bodies? Oh, we got another harasser here. Goddamn, are busy today. What am I used to doing? Hide user on this channel. Yup. Pretty easy. Now that's 3 people who have repeated accounts. The Ted Turner, aka Ted Burner accounts, That guy's got over 100 of them that he's made to harass me. And then there's this person calling himself Pastor James Smith. This is probably 10 or 11 of them from this guy already. See, that's the problem with taking advantage of at-risk adults, not allowing them to defend themselves, and of course slandering their name to the public, making them a target for the public, and then of course pretending that they're a bad guy when they react to long-term abuse by the public. Fuck the police. Matter of fact, fuck everybody in this country. It's a whole country full of cowards. People like this Ted Turner feller. Is he the real Ted Turner? No, he's a little bitch. This Pastor James Smith, is he a real pastor? Well, I believe that he is probably a real child molester. He really comes across as one. Really comes across as a Lanny from Of Mice and Men. Do you like that? Does it make you feel better? Getting picked on, getting bullied back? No, it doesn't fucking feel good, does it? But you guys are trolls and cowards. A lot of the people out here, they've been trying to tell me to talk to this Kelly White lady. Apparently she's got experience with domestic violence. She's also got some very specific experience with the police department here, which I guess is supposed to be helpful. Well, okay. But it's of absolutely no use if nobody can get me in contact with this lady, and if nobody's going to fill me in on any details beyond she's apparently some sort of a superwoman who does everything. She helps people that are autistic. She helps domestic violence victims. She helps find missing people. She helps advocate for people. She helps do domestic litigation. She helps to... Like, this woman really seems like the greatest person on the planet. Between somebody who's gonna fucking pray about it and this Kelly lady. Well, hell, this Kelly lady seems to be what everybody needs. But where is she? How do I get a hold of her? How do I ask her for help? How do I show her what I've got going on? But I just drive around and use up my gas trying to look up every single Kelly White in the whole county, and then go to the next and surrounding counties just in case she might have had to move. And I do mean within the county, because Tillamook ain't that big. But the towns to the east of here, the towns to the south of here, the towns to the north of here, and the towns to the west of here are all really fucking close. I mean, once you get down to Fred Meyer's, you're walking distance from Bay City. Anyway, I don't want to end up getting a hold of the wrong Kelly White and ended up with issues over that. This Talia White lady, it gives me a thing saying that she's in like Bainbridge, Washington or something now. But might not even be the same lady. Meanwhile, the first name, Talia, that's a strange, sorry, I shouldn't say strange. It's a name that is not popular or common enough that I would be able to discern one from another. It makes it so that, all right, let's say you look up the name John Smith, you're going to find a shit ton of John Smiths. If you type the name John Miller, you're going to find a shit ton of John Millers. Now, White is a pretty popular or common last name. But the Talia part is not common. I guess the majority of this has been about people's names and about technological issues, and about the complications with finding people to even help, let alone going to a place like Portland and having to sort through anywhere from 4,000 to 14,000 homeless people. depending on whose fucking numbers you agree with. No matter whose numbers you agree with, that's still a lot of ground to cover. It's a lot of people to talk to, and your chances of encountering the person that you're looking for ain't that great. Even if you do find the right people, the chances ain't that great. When I found Rebecca Gross-Nickel-Foley, and two of the gentlemen that she was talking to had been two guys that I had expressly spoken to beforehand, showed them a picture of Rebecca and said, hey, I'm looking for my friend Rebecca. Have you seen her? Do you know her? Do you know where I might be able to find her? Where any of the resources are that she might possibly go to? Oh, no, man, I ain't seen her. I don't know anybody who looks like that. I don't know anybody named Rebecca. When I finally did find Rebecca, she actually got a hold of me, told me about her story and situation there in the not the university district, the international district. Yeah, people might just outright lie and say they don't know you. Now, these people that I went and talked to that said they didn't know her, she was missing at the time that I spoke to them. Now, whether or not they knew where she was at the time, I don't know. But they certainly told me that they didn't know who she was. Now, given the situation that she was in, her life was absolutely in danger. And those of you who want to pretend that it was a figment of her imagination, well, I'm going to tell you something. If she were having those type of memories, that type of an imagination, she would still be at high risk. Because whether she imagines those things or not, those things are happening, have been proven to be happening. And if she's running around claiming those things happen because she's got some sort of fucked up memory thing that's making her hallucinate situations like that, you can see with the situation with Jamie in the Dalles, Oregon, how violent and dangerous that can be. How quickly that can lead to a quote-unquote normal person getting pissed off, hauling off, and assaulting the fuck out of you. You also get to see how the mental health people and the other quote-unquote professionals that I was sent to in the Dalles, they didn't do a goddamn thing for Jamie. They never do. They send her around in circles. One of the things they like to do is change your wording and then say that you weren't trying to get help or that you were refusing help. Bitch, you got a job to do. Do that job. If I come to you because I was just assaulted and you want to send me around in circles to mental fucking health, the next time I talk to you, chances are pretty good that I've got the opportunity to go pick up a firearm and say it properly. Now, why is it in all this time that I've been in Tillamook, with all these people who have offered me guns, firearms, to go do dirty deeds, or in some cases, literally people offering me guns just to protect myself? Why don't I have any? Why don't I carry them? I'm not willing to kill people. That's pretty simple. It's my number one goal in life, not to kill anybody, not even on accident. I do want to state for the record, fuck the police. The stuff that I heard about Kelly, it doesn't sound to me at all like she works with the police or helps people to turn anything in necessarily. It sounds to me like she helps to get people heard. Like let's say you have to turn something into the cops. This is something that I absolutely need. If you have something to turn into the cops, she'll go with you to make sure that they don't talk over you or obstruct your rights, which is absolutely what I need. But to what degree and to what extent? If she's got this whole legal litigation thing going, then she does know a bit about the law. And I believe to do litigation in the state of Oregon, I think you do have to have a degree, and um, I don't know if you have to pass the bar or not. I know that legal litigation is different than private or civil litigation, and what it sounds like to me is that she does like private litigation. But again, I don't know this lady, and the stories that I've heard about her, it makes her sound absolutely wonderful. But you also know if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And some of these people that are telling me about her, one of them was telling me, well, there used to be a lady here years ago. I go, years ago don't help me, does it? There's a lot of people here who have offered to help, which is really good. Many of them are not able to help because of their own drug addictions, or because of their own family issues, or because of their own health issues. And of course, I do try to understand that. I also understand that with as many friends that I have had that disappeared, that were found dead, I'm not willing to just ignore it when people go missing like this situation. If somebody's mom is scared enough that she's posting up posters all over Portland, Oregon about her missing daughter, and her daughter's missing from Tillamook, you would think that these people in Tillamook would want to get up and actually go do that. I mean, Portland, it's not like it's 5 hours away. Somebody can drive to Portland in the morning and be back by the afternoon and still spend an hour and a half to 2 hours canvassing a neighborhood and trying to find the young lady. Now, obviously, I've already gotten restricted phone calls harassing me this morning. I've already had 3 fake accounts get on to harass me. And I'm not sure if you noticed this, but I'm still trying to help find missing people. No matter how much these people harass me and bully me and try to shut me up, I still don't shut up. You will have to put me in the ground to shut me up. I like that lady, by the way. Lady who just pulled up next to me. Now, there's other people here who are just an incredible amount of useful. There's a lady named Cynthia here in town, and she is incredibly useful. She's pleasant. She's honest. She's got a pleasant disposition. She was telling me yesterday, some of her employees were telling her she should look at my YouTube channel. She said she doesn't care what they have to say. She cares how I treat her. That's pretty nice. What do? I do my best to protect people, even though most of these people are better off physically than I am. A lot of these people are better off mentally than I am. A lot of these people have families. And that's probably the key factor right there. There's a bunch of people out here. Let me give you an example of Lori. Lori runs around 1,000,000 miles a minute like a chicken with her head cut off. She's got all this crap that she's got to jump through to try to make the courts happy, to try to make housing happy. Now, I haven't heard from her. She had court on the 15th. I'm hoping that she'll get back a hold of me and let me know how it went. She might have ended up homeless. Meanwhile, she's got some sons, but they're not going to help her with this stuff. You know, they do have issues of their own, and it's issues that they unfortunately are going to need their mother for the rest of their lives. She's not exactly 20 years old anymore, though. Her sons are grown men now. So I mean, what help is there for her? She's got a lot of trauma, and you can tell that by listening to her. Once you've met her family, you understand why it is that she is actually very much alone in all of this. Her sons aren't gonna go into court and testify about any of this. If she tries telling them about it, she's been so traumatized by all this situation. She's just gonna talk. Me, you can tell that I do know when it's somebody else's turn to speak in a social situation. But turning in crimes is not a social situation. Turning in crimes requires you to give the victim your full and undivided goddamn attention. It's hard for Lori to do that because she's going through her own hell. It's hard for me to do that because I'm going through my own hell. It's hard for Mandy Singer to help or to do any of that because she was going through her own hell. By the way, Mandy Singer is one of the people that I worry about the most. She's getting up there in years. She's got a lot of knowledge to impart, a lot of experiences that are important for all of us to learn. Now, the internet is great. You know, you can find all sorts of stuff on the internet. My mustache is tickling me. We got another person who just posted up some sort of harassment. Oh, someone calling herself Virginia Redbone. You been smoking crack today. What do we do with these people? Hide user on this channel. See how easy that was? Damn. That's one of the things y'all don't get. When it comes to trying to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, you get nothing but resistance out of everyone. You get trolls and harassers that are going to stalk you for literally years. You get police officers who are just going to fucking talk over you and send you to mental health. Mental health is going to tell you it's the cops' job, but they're still going to send you up for therapy because they get paid for that shit. Meanwhile, the cops are getting paid for not doing shit. The therapists are getting paid for not doing shit. And of course, we got places like Clearview. Nationwide, these places are getting closed down. These behavioral health units. Why is that? Because they're abusing at-risk adults. Physical assaults, sexual assaults, over-medicating, chemical restraints. All I needed was somebody there to make sure that my rights were observed. When you have nobody there, that lets these predators know that they can march right over you and nobody's gonna give a holy fuck, because obviously if someone gave a holy fuck, they would have helped you to turn this shit in right away. It's not my fault the American people are what they are. But what they are, I am completely and totally disgusted by. Anyway, like I said, the only Talia that I know of that I've met here in Oregon is a dog. As far as the name Talie, apparently I know 2 Talies. I don't really know either one of them. The Talie that I know from Colorado, I recognize her. I've seen her in person before. I didn't know what the fuck her name was. The Talie here, I recognize the picture. I know who she is. I've seen her before, but it's not like we hang out. It's not like we've ever hung out and been friends and gone and done friend things. And really, to be honest with you, if you're under the age of 30, realistically. If you're under the age of 30 and you're female, I have to be afraid of being around you. I have to be afraid that if something happens to you, then I'm going to get blamed, even if I've never met you. Even meeting me puts people at risk. And how many of y'all understand that? How many of y'all have looked into that to see the truth of it? How many hundreds of people that promised to help me told me they were threatened, harassed, or intimidated by police or the Bollingers? It's a good question, isn't it? Anyway, one thing I was thinking, since they kept on popping up with these other two names, is that maybe it was her middle name, or maybe Kelly was her middle name, or I don't fucking know. Maybe it's a nickname. Just even finding the right people is a pain in the ass. Even finding a phone number to actual advocacy places. All these places are going to do is refuse to give me a way to get a hold of them with the evidence. They're going to do everything they can to eat up my resources and eat up my physical abilities, which are in a limited supply, and demand that I basically run an Olympic-style marathon after cutting me off at the knees. Bravery is not the absence of fear. It's standing in the face of it. Kind of like standing in the middle of Tiananmen Square with a bag of groceries in each hand and a big-ass Russian tank right in fucking front of you. That's right. That famous picture of that lady who was shopping, that was in China, and the tank was Russian. I don't want to be out here. One theory with Natalie Bollinger was that because Natalie Bollinger was so busy trying to paint me out as some sort of a goddamn monster that she made herself an easy target of opportunity. One of the major factors in me leaving Chapel, Nebraska was Leslie Snell playing victim after her husband and her husband's brother and Chris Kurth, one of their friends, and of course her boss, Sheriff Scott DaCosta, had all taken part in committing felonies against me, threatening myself, threatening my friends, threatening my family, and of course multiple assaults. If somebody decided they were gonna take something out on Leslie Snell, they'd be looking at me first, wouldn't they? Just like they did with Natalie, just like they did with Alicia. Meanwhile, why did Natalie get into that situation? Because she was a strung out fucking junkie. Why did Alicia end up in the fucked up situations that she ended up in? Because she's a fucked up goddamn junkie. How about Danica Garner, or Rochelle Shelley Campbell, or Ted Bollinger? How about Roseanne Kelly? These are a bunch of goddamn junkies, you fucking fucks. And you helped these pieces of shit with harming innocent people because you, yourselves, are pieces of shit. Anyway, anybody here in Tillamook who knows who the fuck Kelly White is, please have her either get a hold of me on Facebook, get a hold of me on YouTube, get a hold of me fucking somewhere. I don't want to be going down to the bank and fucking asking if she's the right Kelly, and then go harassing them at the fucking newspaper here and ask where the Kelly that used to do articles for them ended up. I was also told this lady's supposed to be like some sort of a registered nurse, and she's supposed to be some sort of a therapist. And I got to hear this story about how this Kelly lady was beaten up in like 1998 or some shit like this, or 2008 or something. She got beaten up here in Tillamook, Oregon. And after that, she started doing all this stuff to help people. And there's like 5 or 6 people who have tried to send me to this Kelly White lady. And I've asked a lot of other people, how do I get a hold of this Kelly White lady? Who? And it's just big enough of a town to be like that. Chapel, Nebraska, if you ask somebody's name, most of the people would know exactly who it is. They would know their entire history going back to 1986. Small towns and all that. They'd know who they're related to, who their cousins are, their brothers, their sisters, their aunts, their uncles. Tillamook is just big enough that you can't do that here. It's also just big enough that a lot of these people have been here long term, and they gave up on the services and stopped going. So a lot of the people they're sending me to haven't worked at these places for literally years. That's not really helpful. Then there's the fact that I've got homeless people out here with their own physical injuries, their own car problems, their own family problems, their own issues, their own, very real issues. Obviously, if I'm having those issues, it'd be very stupid of me to pretend that somebody with a broken car doesn't have a broken car, and that they couldn't possibly have a broken car because they're a different person than me. Like, only men ever get broken cars, or only women ever get broken cars, or only white people ever get broken cars, or only somebody with a beard could ever get a broken car. And the reality is, anybody who drives a vehicle is running the risk of their vehicle having issues. And just because somebody has vehicle issues doesn't mean they're a bad person, and it doesn't mean that they're not trying. For me, there's a lot of places that I've been sent repeatedly that people swore up and down these places are going to help me. It helped out their cousin, it helped out their sister, it helped out them. Then the majority of them don't look at the one factor that is so much different from theirs than from mine. Most of these people who are telling me that these services worked for them are in houses, and were in houses or housing when they did get help. Most of the people out here on the streets, that's not what they're telling me. They're telling me they went around to these services that I've told them, hey, there was a lady at care. She lived in a house, but she drove an older vehicle, and she was an older lady. She wasn't young and spring chickeny like you. She was able to get help from care, and she was able to get help from, what's that place called? Tides of Change. But it didn't register to me like it should have. And obviously it did register to me. I speak out about it on my channel. But in that moment, I was thinking maybe Tides of Change will actually help this woman. Not if she's homeless. If she's homeless here in Tillamook, she's probably going to get treated the same way I am. Sent around in circles and end up right back where she started after spending all of her resources, her very limited resources, running around all these services. Then there's helping hands. And, if I did have the money, that might be a viable option, were it not for the fact that Robert Farnsworth lives out there. With him threatening me day before yesterday, I'm trying to be kind. Obviously, even though he threatened me, I didn't run him over with my car. I didn't get out of my car and fucking grab a beating stick to go whack him with. I didn't spray him in the face with my bear mace. I didn't pull out my slingshots and give him a couple of chunks of steel shot. I also got a couple of 1 ounce chunks of lead weights for fishing. And those, I don't know, that's kind of scary. I was testing that out in the mountains to see how effective it would be as far as stopping an opponent without killing them. I don't think it could be done. I mean, I'd have to basically just use half of the pull that I'm able to pull for it to just maybe just hurt them. But, and I'm not sure if you know anything about cardboard, especially fresh, dry cardboard, especially American, well-built, dry cardboard. It's pretty hard to bust through. About 5 or 6 layers, about that thick, is enough to simulate how hard a human head is. And I went right through those things with a 1 ounce shot. So even using my slingshot as a defensive measure, I'm not willing to do that. Like I've said hundreds of times before, my number one goal in life is not to kill anyone, ever, not even by accident. You know, I'm hesitant to spray somebody with bear mace. It says right on there it could give somebody, well, it could kill them. I mean, it says on the label it could literally kill them. The same thing on the pepper spray. So then I got the pepper spray I'm afraid to use because it might kill somebody. I'm afraid to use my slingshot because it might kill somebody. I even got my taser in here somewhere. It looks like a flashlight. But even that could give somebody, it could pop their heart. If I'm trying to tase them because they're grabbing a hold of me and trying to do me severe damage, I might accidentally tase them on the back of the neck. That'll polarize their brain and kill them instantly. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that people don't factor in. They've got all these great ideas. Oh, if somebody did this, I'd shoot them. And if somebody did that, I'd shoot them. And all of your suggestions about shooting people. And meanwhile, the thing that comes down to there is, do you actually have a gun? Do you actually carry your gun around with you? Because all this stuff that you're talking about that you would do in these situations, if you don't have the gun, it's not going to happen. Obviously, you guys are not running around carrying firearms. So all these fantasy ideas that you have, they require you to have, well, a fantasy implement. The reality is, if you're going to use a firearm to defend yourself, you have to have said firearm on you when the situation happens. That's why it's important to cut these situations off before they get serious. That's why you have to go to the police the first time that it happens, the second time it happens, the third time it happens. However many times it happens, you got to go to the police and make sure it's documented, and make sure that you document it too. Anyway, I'm going to end this video. Hopefully this Kelly White lady still lives in the area. Hopefully she still does this litigation thing that she does. Hopefully she's not just some Robin Hood, just some lady that was here back in the day that was talking about making some effective change and all the things that she wanted to do. Hopefully it's not one of those situations where it's somebody like that that gave up and these people are still thinking that that's her plan. When I was in Boulder, there was one of the services there. It wasn't an actual service where somebody was a non-profit organization or anything like that. It was just somebody helping out. And it was some guy, I don't even remember who he was, it's been so long. But I remember that I sent people to him for like 6 years before I found out that he was, I want to say he either died or he moved, you know, usually one or the other. But, I mean, I sent people to the guy for like 6 years when he wasn't even there. And to me, being out on the streets and going through it year after year, I mean, one day just basically blends into the next, and then 1 year blends into the next. Pretty soon you're like, shit, I talked to that guy it was probably 2 years ago. And then you go look it up and you're like, 2 years ago? Well, fuck, the last time I talked to this guy was 2017. Or the last time I talked to this guy was 2011. That's a lot more than a couple of years, you know? With Brandon Jeffson, when Natalie was killed and he got back a hold of me, he and I hadn't spoken for a few years. About 6 years by that point. Because he always wanted to be a cop, but he got busted being an idiot with a firearm in his dorm room when he was underage. You have to be 21 to own a pistol in Nebraska. And Brandon Jeffson was 20 years old, cleaning his range pistol in his dorm room. So many years later, his older brother's a cop, and his little brother's a felon. His little brother was trying to kill his pregnant wife, shooting at her while she was barefoot. Different strokes for different folks, I guess. Anyway, I ain't got really any friends to talk to. I got people out here that I know that are on drugs, that they're nice to me. I know people out here who are sober, they're also nice to me. But also, all of these people have their own things going on. Some of them are very selfish, even though they don't mean to be. Some of them have good intentions, they just have addictions that prevent them from following through. And some of them really want to keep their word and really do try hard to keep their word. But they just can't catch a fucking break. It's one appointment after another, after another, after another. This place is supposed to help you. That place is supposed to help you. And even though they promised that they would help me, they have to jump through all those hoops first. When somebody says, hey, I'll help you this afternoon, you know, I just got to go by this one place real quick and drop off my paperwork. Then they drop off the paperwork and the people there tell them, oh, well, this isn't the right paperwork. Well, it's the paperwork that they handed the lady, isn't it? Why'd they hand it to her if it's not the right paperwork? Why did they have her fill it out if it's not the right paperwork? Why did they tell her it was the right paperwork last time she went in and now they're changing their minds about it? They should have known the right paperwork. They are supposed to be professionals in their field, are they not? The people that care, are they supposed to be professionals in their field? Are they supposed to act professionally? Of course they are. When it comes to the safety and protection of the victim and the evidence, that doesn't seem to be something anybody here, as far as law enforcement or any of the agencies, actually give a shit about. There's a lot of women here who can help me, but they're all jumping through hoops and going through a lot of the same stuff that I am as women, even with all of the overwhelming resources here that are supposed to be for women only. And these homeless women are not gaining access to that. And of course, especially the ones that they can call mentally ill. You just say, oh, they didn't want services. Bullshit. They wanted help stopping abuse, and you pretended that they couldn't be abused because they're mentally ill, dumbass. Or you pretend that they're on drugs and magically they're not people anymore. I'm pretty fucking disgusted by it. Anyway, it's good to be rid of you. Thank you for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper and your sister's too, and no victim left behind.